Ocean waves, sandy beaches, misty air, and forests filled with towering trees. These are just a few of my favorite defining characteristics of Vancouver Island, a relatively small island located just off the Pacific coast of Canada.
There's a fire in the valley of this cold, distant heart. So the flames from the back of this house tore me apart.
Vancouver Island has been thoughtfully developed over the years, leaving much of its pristine nature undisturbed and ready to be explored. Having grown up in Vancouver, I've actually been here many times, and it never disappoints. This time around, I was invited on a trip by my friends Donovan, Anastasia, Kenzie, Logan, and baby Theo. They had been planning a trip around the island in their camper van for a while, and they were kind enough to invite me along. This is how we went about traveling Vancouver Island in 5 days. So, to start off the trip, before you can do anything, you actually need to get to Vancouver Island, which is fairly simple. Unless you're planning to fly to the island, the most common way of getting there is via a BC ferry. British Columbia has an amazing ferry system that services many of the islands along the west coast of Canada, and Vancouver Island is no exception. The gang was already waiting for me with their camper van in Nanaimo, so I took a ferry from Horseshoe Bay, which is a small ferry town just outside of Vancouver, all the way over to Nanaimo as a walk-on passenger for about 20 bucks. Not bad. So I just boarded the ferry as a walk-on passenger from Horseshoe Bay in Vancouver. I'm on this ferry, it's going to take an hour and 40 minutes, and I'm going to arrive in Departure Bay, Nanaimo. The ferry ride itself always gets me excited for the time that I'm about to spend on the island. You never ride the ferry without being absolutely blown away by the amazing views of British Columbia's coastline. And the best part is that it's just a taste for what's about to come. After getting off the ferry and arriving in Nanaimo, my friends picked me up and we slept at their place in Noahvde Bay before heading out early the next morning. The first destination on our trip was Tofino, a small town on the west coast of Vancouver Island. We split up the 2.5-hour drive from Noahvde Bay to Tofino with some fun stops along the way. So we are now at and walking around Cathedral Grove, which is a park filled with these massive trees, like this one. They're like up to 800 years old, some are 300, some are 800. Regardless, they're pretty old. Cathedral Grove is a well-maintained, easy-to-walk trail that winds you through one of Vancouver Island's old forests, letting you get up close and personal with some massive trees. We spent about an hour wandering around and admiring the untouched nature. It's a great first stop. As we continued along the Pacific Rim Highway, we ended up seeing some people swimming and cliff jumping into the river, so we decided to join them. This spot turned out to be just off the Pacific Rim Highway in Clayocot Plateau Provincial Park. We just pulled the van over and parked in the shoulder of the road. We made some lunch, had a bite to eat, and then decided to brave the ice-cold water and go for a swim. This swimming hole spot is awesome, and it's just a testament to the abundance of nature on Vancouver Island. There are countless spots like this that you'll discover on your trip around Vancouver Island. Tiny gems on the side of the road that you can never have planned to stop at, but are awesome. A couple of cliff jumps and some swimming later, we hop back in the van and continue towards Tofino. Tofino is a special place, with its big draw being its open ocean and iconic beaches. People spend their entire Vancouver Island vacation in Tofino, and it's clear why. This place is beautiful. The Pacific Northwest vibes that people chase are right here. Low-lying cloud, sandy beaches, crashing ocean waves, and some gnarly surf. I mean, Tofino really has it all. If you're making your way to Vancouver Island for the first time, I'd definitely give yourself at least 2 nights here. After our amazing stay in Tofino, we packed up camp and moved on to our next destination, which was Sooke. Now this was exciting for me. I'd been to Tofino, but I'd never been to Sooke, so this was going to be something new. Now Sooke is still on the west coast of Vancouver Island, but it's a fair bit further south, and unfortunately, There's no direct road that's gonna get you there. We ended up having to do some backtracking through Nanaimo, and it took us about 4 hours to get there from Tofino. Sooke is definitely less traveled than Tofino, so we were able to snag a first come first served campsite just outside of the city. But again, if you know the dates that you're going to be there, you should book in advance. The campsite that we originally wanted to book ended up being full, but this was a great plan B. We are here at our new campground in Sooke, British Columbia. I'm up pretty early today. I don't have my phone on me, but I think it's somewhere around 6 a.m. The sun is rising here in the background. It is so beautiful out here. There's actually no reception, so I haven't been using my phone. I've kind of just shut off, hanging out by the ocean, in the forest, on the beach. It's nice. After setting up camp, the first stop on our list of adventures in Sooke was the Sooke Potholes. The Potholes are a series of swimming holes nestled inside of a large canyon just outside of Sooke in the Sooke Potholes Provincial Park. We packed ourselves some lunch, grabbed a picnic blanket, and then headed down to one of the swimming holes where we hung out for the rest of the day. This was a super cool spot. There was a nice sandy beach that we hung out on, some awesome cliffs that we could jump off of, and a serene emerald pool that we could relax in. I was super stoked on this spot, and it was a great place to spend our afternoon. After spending our afternoon at the Sooke Potholes, we ended up heading back towards our campsite and stopping at Sandcut Beach to watch the sunset. Not only does Sandcut Beach give you an amazing view of the sunset, but it also has two waterfalls that flow right onto it. This spot on Sandcut Beach is pretty unique, and I don't think there are many other spots that can beat its sunset views. So if you have the chance, I highly recommend you check this out. Next up on our list is going to be a road trip to Port Renfrew, which is essentially the end of the highway on Vancouver Island. On our way there, we stopped at a place called Sombrio Beach, which, if I had to say, was probably my favorite stop on our entire trip. Alright guys, we are here at Sombrio Beach. I've been stoked for this. I've seen pictures, I've heard about it. I can't wait to show you guys. Sombrio Beach is a rocky beach located in the Noahvde Provincial Park. What made Sombrio Beach so cool to me is that you're actually allowed to camp there, and it makes an unreal camping spot at that. The views are incredible. You're literally camping beside the ocean. There are facilities and bear caches for you to use, and the beach itself goes on for a while, leaving many areas to explore. Next time I go back to this area of the island, I will most definitely be camping at Sombrio Beach. If you walk about 15 or 20 minutes down the coastline, you'll come to an opening in the trees with a path and a tiny stream flowing down it. If you walk up the path for another 5 minutes, you'll be greeted with one of the coolest waterfalls that I've ever seen at the back of a moss-covered canyon. This waterfall is like straight out of a movie, and definitely the highlight of our adventures down on Sombrio Beach. All in all, we probably spent about 2 hours at Sombrio Beach, and we most definitely could have stayed longer. This could have been a whole day thing. Like I said, if you find the time and you're able to, make sure to camp a night here. I think it would be absolutely magical. Moving on from Sombrio Beach, we eventually made it to the tiny town of Port Renfrew, where we grabbed a bite to eat before checking out the tide pools at Botanical Beach Provincial Park. After a short walk through the forest heading down to the beach, you'll be able to see a bunch of tide pools scattered throughout the unique rock formations. We climbed on the rocks, admired the pools, and sat down where the ocean waves were crashing into the shore and watched the sunset. Again, this is another one of those super cool spots. If you're coming out to Port Renfrew, you cannot miss it. After a couple amazing days exploring Sooke, we had to head back to the east coast of the island to catch our ferry home, but not without some stops along the way. An awesome spot that I recommend everyone check out is the Goldstream Trestle, located in Goldstream Provincial Park. A fairly easy half-hour hike through the provincial park will lead you up to an abandoned train trestle in the middle of a forest. It's super cool seeing this crazy feat of construction just standing there, connecting the two sides of the valley in the middle of the park. The trestle is getting pretty old, so I do not recommend climbing on it. It's definitely not safe, but it's a cool place to check out. After seeing the Goldstream Trestle, you can head into the city of Victoria for some more exploring. I really love this city. It's small compared to Vancouver, but much larger than where I'm currently living in Kelowna. There are tons of unique alleys, installations, shops, and places to explore. Being the capital of British Columbia, the city has a lot of character and history to be found. There's not many places in the world that I can say this about, but I'd honestly think about moving here one day. I really like Victoria. After spending some time there in Victoria, you're able to catch the ferry back to the mainland, which leaves from Schwartz Bay and drops you off in Tsawwassen. From Tsawwassen, you're easily able to get to wherever you need to go, whether that be back into Vancouver or off to your next destination. And there it is, guys. That brings us to the end of our epic trip around Vancouver Island. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that I was able to show you guys why I love this place so much. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you so much. I'm gonna go enjoy the view. I'll see you guys in another one.